Hello and welcome to the fourth episode of season 3 about the Lunch and Unlearn live stream series. My name is Katie Carduan and I'm here to inspire you to unlearn more. And this season the focus is about the stories we tell ourselves. And today's topic is a special favorite of mine. It has to do with the limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs are the things that we tell ourselves every single day without actually knowing it, more or less. And I meet that in myself, but also with many of the people I work with. And sometimes they are really helpful, and sometimes they are stopping us from doing things that could be beneficial and be of service to us. Now, the reason why I focus on the unlearning dimension is because we make 50, 60, maybe even 70,000 decisions each day, of which the vast majority is, of course, unconscious. It's automatic. And we are repeating these patterns, these behaviors, without even thinking about it. We do have a small portion of decisions and patterns that we actually consider and make conscious decision about. And in order to unlearn something, you need to identify something that might be unconscious that you're turning into a more conscious approach. And the stories we tell ourselves are focusing on this phenomenon in order to help you identify some of the stories that you might be telling yourself as well. So, what is it about those limiting beliefs that are so fascinating? It's all about things we take for or to understand to be true. We tell ourselves from very early days and years in our lives that things are a certain way, and then we are unconsciously collecting evidence that we have experienced that the right way. And it takes a lot of effort to really identify that this might be a limiting belief that is stopping us from doing something that could be really helpful when we grow older or when we are considering making some key decisions in life, either in our careers. Maybe it has to do with shifting jobs or shifting industries or starting your own business. Maybe it has to do something outside of your job. So it's really helpful to stop once in a while to reflect about these things, and maybe you will recognize a few things that I'm going to share with you today. And I'm picking some examples that are typically appearing when I meet with some of my clients. Let me give you a few examples. For instance, when it comes to the stories we tell ourselves, what I often hear are the following type of statements. I'm not something enough. I'm not old enough. I'm not young enough. I'm not resourceful enough. I'm not clever enough. I'm not smart enough to do certain things or make that decision. I'm not courageous enough. These things can be identified, but then we maybe need to involve somebody else to help explore whether that's true or not. And very often it's not. It's a simple way of actually making our automatic decisions and repeating our automatic patterns throughout the days. So when we find those things that we tell ourselves that we are not, or not enough of something, there's an opportunity to look at that and then maybe make a conscious decision in shifting it around. Another example could be the following. I don't have enough time or experience or resources to make the decision to do something. I hear this all the time. I don't have the resources to stop what I'm doing, to do something else, or to pursue another type of career, to build my own business. I don't have enough time to learn that new skill or to explore another area. I don't have the experience to go into a different type of industry or a different type of role. Maybe some of this resonates with you. Maybe you can see yourself or recognize yourself in some of these examples, or maybe you recognize somebody around you. And that's a good sign because these are typical things that we can help unlock with people we care about as well. But if you discover something about yourself, make a note and then bring it up with somebody you trust. Could be a good friend, could be your partner, could be maybe you have a coach or a mentor. And then you can explore this and look at it and see, is it really true? What happens if I shift my story? What happens if I tell myself another story? And can I experiment with that over time? And sometimes people ask me, so how long do I have to experiment with this before it becomes my new habit or my new behavior or my new way of telling myself a story? It depends. But the more you want it, the easier it will get if you are really driven in order to collect new evidence. And by involving other people somehow, you will likely increase the likelihood quite a lot. Let's give another example as well. I should avoid something at all cost. This is something that I encounter a lot. It could have to do with failure, for instance. I should avoid failure at all cost. Outside of work, and to share a personal example, I have told myself for decades that I should avoid feeling hungry at all cost, which was not really helpful in terms of lifestyle and weight issues. So as long as I told myself that there was some discomfort related to the feeling of being hungry, I did anything to avoid that. And that was my belief until I got some inspiration to look at that and maybe question that a little bit. And now for 4 months, I've been experimenting with intermittent fasting. And well, I am hungry. I feel hungry sometimes, but I can still feel that I still have my 2 feet on the ground. I make progress. It's going in the right direction. And by identifying that story I've been telling myself for many, many, many years, I've been able to shift that story around. And that shows the power of stories. And then, of course, you need to involve people around you to make it stick and to make it something that becomes part of your daily life. And very often when people ask, how do I get this to be a fixed pattern of mine moving forward? I don't want to fall off the wagon again and get into problem again. So sometimes it's really great to associate it or to use conditioning when you introduce a new set of behaviors. For instance, when you feel hungry or when you experience something that you want to change and you want to change that story, you should automatically connect it to something else that you're doing anyway. So for instance, in my personal case, one thing that I learned pretty quickly on this journey to change my story from I want to avoid feeling hungry at any cost to say it's okay to feel hungry to improve my lifestyle. That means that I was able to repeat to myself that whenever I felt hungry, I could use some techniques. I could combine it with something else. And the two simple things when it comes to that specific topic has to do with actually drinking water or getting distracted. So very simple things, but those are needed in order to build that new pattern and make it part of your normal day and life. And in the same way, things we are avoiding at any cost, at all cost in our professional lives, maybe we're not searching for that promotion. Maybe we are not taking the chance when somebody is offering us an opportunity. Maybe we are hesitant to testing out a new product. Maybe we are looking to build some new skills, but we're hesitant to start doing that before we feel that it's the right decision. So we are postponing things. We are becoming more passive instead of actually getting on to put yourself in the driver's seat and really get on with it and testing and build some new evidence that is working. So if you're telling yourself a similar story, like I should avoid this for at any cost, you know you're onto something, and then you can start questioning that and you can experiment with it. Now, the reflection here obviously has to do with the question I'm always leaving for you to consider by end of these short live stream sessions. And that has to do with probably something popped in you when you heard these examples, probably something came to mind in terms of something you've seen for yourself or for other people. And then just let it unfold. Pick it up when it appears again. Either you are in the shower or going for a walk or having a good time in some way. Suddenly things will start popping up and you will start actually identifying some of these things and then involve somebody else to get some opportunity to explore that more in detail and see, can you shift that around? What would that story be in your case? And one example, as I shared my personal thing today about the approach to feeling hungry and also assuming intermittent fasting, could be that I shifted my story. The story I told myself for many, many years was that I needed to lose weight before I could improve my health. And by learning new things and finding new evidence and experimenting with this and actually maybe not embracing the discomfort of being hungry sometimes, but actually being, able to challenge myself in that space, I've been shifting the story around. So now instead of telling me the following, I will, by improving my health, I will lose weight. That's the opposite. And maybe there is a similar story for you to shift around that you can start telling yourself instead that might be serving you better in the future. Either it has to do with your personal life or your professional life. If you're interested in more topics like this, the full season of the Lunch and Unlearn series are shown at my website, leaderinthedemand.com. The first season was about self-leadership. The second one was about bad workshop tactics. And this season is then about the stories we tell ourselves. So you will find different topics, but always coming from the unlearning angle to it. Next time, we are going to look into the topic of the stories we tell ourselves and the colliding values. And this is one of my favorite topics because most of us do not walk around and think about our values in our daily lives. However, when we are conflicted, when we have issues, when we face challenges, those come into play very easily. And sometimes they are colliding. And when that happens, many of us might believe or conclude that that has to do with us being procrastinators, that we are putting things on hold. And then we are maybe, I would say, hard on ourselves to realize that, and we believe that that's a bad thing. And we believe that we might be procrastinators, and that's probably not a good thing. However, I would argue that there's a lot of interesting things that will be unfold from that identification. And by understanding how the colliding values show up can actually be a very good eye-opener that will allow you to be nicer to yourself and not name yourself a procrastinator without actually looking into this issue before. So I hope you will be back next week to learn more about the colliding values and what can actually be turned around and help you share the stories that are helpful and of service to you in your career and in your personal life as well. So with that, I'm going to close this session today. And if any question arise, either directly through the live stream or in the aftermaths, you're welcome to send me a PM, or you will be able to re-listen to the recording. And I hope to see you again next week. So until then, happy unlearning and start paying attention to the stories you tell yourself. Take care.